I witnessed a murder with my own eyes, but I forced myself to stay calm. I quickly snapped a photo of the killer's face with my camera. While he was busy dealing with the body, I slipped away from the scene. I wanted my uncle to call the cops, but he wasn't around. Suddenly my gut twisted in knots. Worried he'd gone to the murder site looking for me, I rushed back to the spot and saw my uncle grilling the killer about where I was. I yelled a quick warning that he was in danger, but the killer just shot my uncle dead on the spot. He spotted the camera in my hand, so while he was stunned, I spun around and bolted. I made it to a cabin in the woods. Jack blocked my path. He looked totally confused. Then a bullet ripped through his ankle out of nowhere, and there was the killer heading straight our way. He slammed the door shut and grabbed his gun. Right as the killer started forcing the door open, he fired straight at him, but that shot didn't take the killer down. The killer drew his weapon, and they squared off.
Hey, you took some buckshot, did you?
Jack hollered a warning at the killer, and said he'd call the cops any second. I figured the killer would cut and run, but instead, the killer told Jack, "Hand me over and I'll be gone." Jack glanced my way. Maybe he was thinking of his son who'd passed away, so he didn't turn me over. Instead he told me to grab the first aid kit, then to bring a light bulb, some towels, and a bit of water. Next he wrapped the bulb in a towel, and smashed it hard, scattering the shards across the stairs. Then he asked why I was being hunted. I laid out the whole story for him, handing over the film from my camera. He wrapped the film up real careful, and had me stash it in the water tank. Downstairs the killer was out of patience, cursing up a storm about coming up to finish us off. Jack locked eyes with him in another standoff. That is when a cop showed up outside, but the killer stayed ice cold. He fired through the door, without a second thought, and the cop dropped right there on the porch. He told me to make a break for it through the window, but the killer spotted me anyway.